Welcome to Conversations with Scott Fischer, where we will discuss stories, experiences, and learnings over the past 45 years with industry leaders, friends, and dealers. From Harley-Davidson to powersports, leadership to organizational health, and everything in between. Join the conversation.
Welcome back to Conversations with Scott Fischer. My name is Taylor and I'll be your host today. Today, Scott Fischer Enterprises West CEO and operating partner of Thunderbird Harley-Davidson and Wicked West Harley-Davidson, Sean Delaney, joins us from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Sean has worked with Scott Fischer Enterprises for over 20 years and is a key leader in our organization. Welcome, Sean. We're excited to have you today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Scott, last podcast, we dove into SFE's digital evolution and the impact it had on our business. Today, we brought in your operating partner to share his perspective. What do you want dealers to take away from today's podcast?
Well, I think what would be most important to me is I'd really like for them to see firsthand what the focus on the digital doorway can do for their business. Why we are working so hard on building quality traffic in the dealership. We all know that building quality traffic or having quality traffic coming into the dealership is really important in selling new motorcycles. All of this is really about the customer's journey. The customer's journey starts when a customer gets excited about some product, some power sports product. The customer gets excited about it, and the first thing they do is they go online. And when they go online, that's the beginning of their journey. And just like in the dealership, you'd never want a customer to sit around too long, to not be taken care of. And the digital doorway is exactly the same thing, that dealers need to be prepared for where the customer is starting their journey today. And, we know that maybe every customer is starting online. So that just means even if we're wrong, we know a substantial percentage is. So that's why having Sean, who really has been involved in this process since this really becomes something in our power sports industry, can share his thoughts on it, because we're building customers one at a time, and it's starting in the digital doorway today.
Great point, Scott. And just for our listeners, we know that 90% of customers shop online before ever entering the showroom, and the average customer inquires at 4 locations. So it's really important that we focus on the digital impact of not only our customer, but also our businesses. So I love that we're having this conversation today. So Sean, take us back a few years and share your story of when you split your physical sales and your internet sales, and why did you restructure your sales operation?
Well, it started a really long time ago, but I can at least where we really got organized with it is where I'll start. We put together a 3-phase approach. We needed to understand. First thing you got to understand is your customer base. Where's all the information kept? Where is your leads coming from? Where is your customer e-blast going out from? Who's on what list? You may have the customer on one list and not on another. So the very first thing we had to do was get that organized. And it sounds easy, but it was not. You might be storing customer data in 5 or 6 different locations, CRM, DMS. You may have them in an e-blast system. You may have them in just multiple areas. HD at the time was had them online. There's a lot of different ways that leads get stored and where they're out. Chat leads. You can just go on and on and on. And then you don't know where all that stuff is. So the first thing you got to do is you got to have phase 1, which is organize that, right? Then you have to kind of say, okay, once that's organized, where's it going? So where's all that information going? Because on the internet, things break and there's different links that you have to have, and where does it all go? So you got to know when a lead is coming, where does it go? So you got to get organized in that regard. And then you kind of have to organize your digital showroom, and you have to organize your physical showroom. So your digital showroom, you got to make sure that your pictures are right. You're getting pictures quick. You get multiple angles. You get maybe some video if it's available from the person doing the recording. and then you got to make sure that digital is appealing, that people want to see the bikes that you have, because people will come back multiple times to check your inventory. And then the last thing you got to do is you got to set up your physical, for when people come in, and, they're digital leads, but they're really digital people, they're digital customers, digital consumers. And they come in the store and they have to know where to park. They got to know where to come in. They got to know that their bike's out front, sitting there ready to go for a test drive, really clean. They have to see their name on a board. They have to be greeted. There's all sorts of things that you have to do to get ready to be really good at digital. And it takes a little bit of planning and execution. It's not hard. It just takes organization.
Sean, I love how you touched on all the stuff that happens before even the sale, right? Getting your organization of your data. Where do you have your customer lists at? Are they clean? Are they scrubbed? Is your digital showroom correct? And I think what's important for our dealers to understand is you have to do all of that before you can capitalize on or maximize that digital sales opportunity. And so I love that you mentioned that, Sean, and I'll make a note too here for our listeners. We'll go ahead and put in the comments below. We had a really great podcast conversation with Thomas Manning of Star Performance Marketing, where he really touched on that first phase of generating leads. So we'll be sure to put that in the comments here to tie the two conversations together. So Sean, thank you. So Scott, as the CEO, what was your initial thought process when Sean wanted to place a higher focus on digital in SFE West?
Well, I think Sean can probably tell you that, my point was, let's make sure we can count the traffic walking through the front door first. And I think the reality is that I wasn't educated on the key metrics that were coming from the digital side. And as Sean dug into that business further and further, we've always been very data driven. So as you start pulling the data about what's happening in the digital side, you begin to realize that, there's another doorway than the front door. And those customers are going there. And, one of the things Sean talked about, which is really very important, is if you notice, Sean talked about preparation for the digital doorway, talked about preparation for the salespeople, preparation for the customer. That's the same exact thing that we do on the showroom floor. We get the bikes ready outside. We make sure it's clean. The showroom's organized. The salespeople have their call list. They have everything ready to go. That digital side is exactly the same way. And, that was quite a while ago. We've come a long ways now. But I think what's most important is that we're figuring out how to create the highest quality experience there is for the customer. And Sean has proven that it's not just about answering digital calls, digital leads. It's about handling customers' journey. And it doesn't stop. It never, ever stops. But, we want to get more of them into the showroom. And part of it is just greater preparation, which means salesmen got to work harder. BDC agents have to work harder. This is not easy work. Sean talks about it's not difficult. It's not a difficult business to be in, but it's hard work. Look, we've hammered salespeople forever about preparation. And now we're doing the same thing in the digital side. The same issues that come up in the digital side are no different than the front side. It's just that it's in the digital doorway instead of the front doorway.
That's
you
a great. Oh,
you have to jump. I had to jump in on that one. You got to train those salesmen a little bit differently than you train a regular salesman on the floor. But usually you take your best salesman from the floor and you put them in the digital, and they do really well there too. But you every day is training. It doesn't matter if it's about digital. It's the way you respond to a lead. It's the way you talk to the customer. It's the way you invite them into the store. It's about being ready. It's the same stuff. It's just a little bit different tweak to it.
Yeah, great points. Thank you both. And which leads us into the impact. So Sean, what impact did this focus have on your organization and your bottom line?
Well, during COVID, we were shut down as a store completely. So we were completely shut down. We couldn't have anybody on our floor. We couldn't have anybody in a building, anything. So we had to figure out ways to sell. So we, of course, had to really get good online. We were, I think, as I remember correctly, we did like 95% of all the deals done online. We did them because we had to. We had no other way to deliver motorcycles. So, long story short, that made us get really good really fast, and it showed us a lot of different things and a lot of flaws and where areas to improve and what we could do. So, it's an evolution all the time of getting better. So, from that point of view, that was important.
That's awesome. And Sean, today, approximately what percentage of your sales come from digital today?
Yeah, it's interesting. Right now, we're at 50% of our total sales this month are from the internet, and it's been 40 to 45 to 50. Some months it's higher, some months it's lower, but usually between 40 and 50% of our sales originate with a customer lead, digital customer lead. So if customers do something on our website or chat or whatever, it leads to a sale, and we track that really closely. So if we sell 100 motorcycles, 50 of them this month will come from the internet. The other 50 come from the floor. Even that's broken down a little bit further through the service drive. But, we want to know where all of our customers are originating from. And I believe, like Scott said, I believe it's probably like 90%. I think maybe you'd said it, Taylor, 90% start on the internet looking, because we see customers come back a lot to our website to see what we get in, to see what bikes are in stock, to see what we have. So we know that they come back multiple times.
Sean, that's really encouraging. For the dealers listening, imagine 50% of your sales coming from your digital showroom. What impact would that have on your current operation and your bottom line? Think about that. And that's what's possible.
Well, Taylor, the other thing that people do that I think they always say, I want more leads, right? And we've had as many as 500 leads a month. We get what you're saying. It's good to have a lot of leads. But sometimes when you have a lot of leads, you don't see a high conversion rate. Sometimes when you have a moderate amount of leads, you see a higher conversion rate. It all depends. So you can look at it in a couple different ways. It does the lead get you a sale, or does really working the lead well get you a sale? So there's kind of dealers out there that all say, I just need more leads. I need more leads. I don't know if I always agree with that. It's good to get more leads. Don't get me wrong. I just think you got to, regardless, it's like transactions. You can get a ton of transactions. If you don't convert on those transactions, what's the point? So you can get a lot of leads, but you got to do something with them. And some leads are more valuable than other leads. We know that too. There's different value, which kind of leads you get.
It's simply put the difference between quantity and quality, right? And one of the things we'll do too for our listeners is there's a really great exercise called the Digital Opportunity Scorecard. And what you do is you put in your digital sales, what your goals are, and then you put in what your average GP is, and it will tell you the opportunity that's on your table. GP, gross profit, opportunity on the table with your current lead volume and no additional marketing spend. So I'll go ahead and link that in the chat for everybody as well.
That's super. That's one of the best things you can do. Figure that out.
That's right. Thanks, Sean. All right, Scott, imagine we didn't make this decision to focus on the digital doorway. Where do you feel our dealer group would be compared to where we are today?
Well, I think here's the thing that I know for sure. By investing, focusing, and really managing the digital doorway, we've been able, during the great times, sell more product. During the COVID times, engage with our customers like we probably would have never done. And more than anything, is it's helping us sustain our unit volume. I mean, it's one of the things that we're talking about all the time right now is, we believe that people need to focus even more on their showroom traffic. We think that they need to pay more attention to their traffic log and the data that comes out of it. But look, we know for sure through our work with DLP and through our work in-house in our own dealership that you get X amount of leads. What Sean talked about is, let's not spend money for more leads until we have clearly demonstrated that the leads we're getting, we've done something with. And the greatest thing about the digital side is when you have technology in the digital side, you can see how many leads came in, where they came from, you can see how quickly they were responded to, and you can also listen to exactly what our BDC team or our sales team is saying to them so that we can go through the coaching process. You know, this is really, like Sean said, this is really not, it's new technology in our industry, but it's nothing different than what it was some time ago. You know, we have to use the data that comes from this source and manage the customers that are out there so that we can sustain or grow our business. And I think without digital, I think dealers who are not really directing a substantial amount of their focus, their energy, and their investment in the digital side is just missing the opportunity to sustain their business. I mean, it's just part of our business now. You got to get really involved in it. And I would just challenge any dealer, if you can absolutely tell us, the data in your digital side, then great. It's great that you're doing a good job. But most dealers that we either mystery shop or most dealers that we do work with right now, or we're given demos to, we know that they don't have that information. We know that they're not managing that process correctly. And look, we feel we have a way of helping dealers make a difference in their business and meet the commitment that they need to make in order to make business happen.
Sally, can I follow up
Speaking.
behind that?
Oh, please.
Well, Scott made a lot of good points there. And first thing I want to say is the traffic log is a traffic log. You still got to work a traffic log. Transactions are transactions. You still got to work transactional data. Digital is just one more thing that you put in your toolbox and you work it. And Scott's right. It's part of our business now. So we just are naturally always, we have our digital traffic log. We know all that stuff. We have a service traffic log. We know all that stuff. The more data you have, the better you can be. But here's what I was going to say is, there's these big dealer groups and they come into town and all these dealers are, oh my goodness, they're going to kill me. They're going to put me out of business. And the truth is, the reason they can gain some business from some dealers is that they're not invested in the digital and they don't understand it. And, you wonder why. And there's people out there that know certain things that you may not know. And it's not hard to find out. It's just you gotta be aware of it. But to be prepared, you got to really at least understand it, get an understanding of what you're working with, because I could sit here for an hour and explain how you can manipulate customers. Like you mentioned, customers shop in 4 places before they come. They just shop on. There's not another store from us for hundreds of miles, but they still shop 4 stores, right? They still do. They shop 6 stores sometimes. It doesn't matter. If you're in a big metro, their customers are going. We used to have a store in a big metro, so I know. And you got to compete. You got to be able to understand what they're doing with those leads and where they're going. And they're better at following up with them, and they're more persistent than you are, and they're faster to the lead than you are. And all those things matter to a sale. And yeah, maybe it's 1 sale, 2 sales, then it becomes 5 sales, 6 sales a week. And then it's, there's four DATs around their store. Now they've got that happening at 4 different DATs around their DAT. And there's another, dealer assigned territory. There's another, 24, 25 bikes that they're picking up incrementally. And so you got to be prepared. And that's what Scott, I think, was alluding to, that dealers, don't be scared of it. Just embrace it and get to understand it so that you don't get sidetracked or you don't get, sideswiped.
Taylor, I just want to add one thing is I don't know how many dealer principals or general managers actually get watch these podcasts or other communications around digital side, but the digital business, as Sean said, it's a third. We had transactions, we have traffic log, and we have digital logs now. And if you don't know what that digital business is, and you can't completely rely on your team to give you the accurate information about what's coming in digital, because how we perform with the digital leads that come in is a reflection on our performance as individual sales managers, as floor managers or BDC managers, whatever it is, the performance of the digital side is a reflection of how good of a job we're doing. And I just would challenge every dealer principal to know the data. Know the data so that you can hold your team accountable, because this is what's driving sales into the dealership right now. It's the digital side that's driving sales into the dealership right now.
Yeah, how do you make modifications if you don't?
That's
Do you
right.
have enough people? Do you have enough people working in the digital side? We've got 5 or 6 people now that work digital. I mean, it's massive. Who would have thought that 5, 6 years ago? Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of data, speaking of really capitalizing on your lead volume and ensuring that you don't miss an opportunity, Sean, you invest in a digital sales solution called Lead Helm. What is the impact of Lead Helm on your business, and how has that really changed your trajectory in managing your digital sales process?
Yeah, well, we were very, instrumental in helping to develop it because of what we needed. We had multiple agents, we had people calling from the house. We had so much. Have a centralized place is awesome for us with the digital. Right now, there are also a lot of cool things too, like tracking, like appointments, like all the things that come with it. But the major thing that I like is it tells me where my leads are coming from and how effective we are with those leads. So, like I said, not every lead is equal. You may get a lead from Shop by Payment, or you may get a lead, I think it's True Value now or something like that. They call it something different. But, you may get one of those leads. You may get just a regular request for quote. You may get a chat lead. And I'm always shocked when I see how chat leads perform. They're very high. So, you just kind of got to know that stuff. So you got to know where you're spending your money. When we send out e-blasts, I want to know how many of those people came back on the site that eventually bought. To me, that's extremely valuable because of marketing. I can save money on marketing. I can be smarter about marketing. I can, right now, everything is being, you're looking at expenses and tightening up, making sure that our bottom lines are right. And, the Lead Helm gives me that. Now I'm a dealer principal, so I'm talking about dealer operator. I'm talking about like what I see. My people, of course, use it for different things. They're gonna tell you that they love the fact that they can respond out of there. They can do this out of there. They can see the message. They have a whole different take on it than I do. My take is I like to know where we're getting leads, what we're spending our money on, and how our performance is with folks. Then your sales manager is going to have a different perspective. Your salespeople are going to have a different perspective of it. But again, that's what it's made to do. It's made to have people use it, and I don't even know how we would get by without it. I just don't know how we would even manage it without it, with all the things it does. And also, just like I said, remember phase 1, which is getting everything organized. You still have to do that. We still have things get broken and leads don't go anywhere, or someone OEM throws out a new lead source that you didn't even know about. Where is it going? Who's responding to it? No one even knows. So if we don't have Lead Helm, then you can't even manage it. I mean, the leads come from at least 15 different sources. How would you know any of that information? I'm baffled by it because I'm always like, good Lord, if I didn't have it, I just don't know how I could stay organized. If that answers the question.
Yes, certainly. And, to put this into perspective, the dealerships that Sean operates, he gets on average about 500 leads a month. And in July, which is his biggest time with Red, White, and Boom, he sees that go up to 700, 800, 900. And without a system in place, in his case, Sean uses Lead Helm. It is a platform that we built collectively with Aaron, who's not on this call, and a couple others. And it was built for dealers by dealers. So we can be a solution to you. However, if Lead Helm, for whatever reason, is not the right solution for you, you have to find a solution. You have to find a way to track and manage your digital leads to be able to maximize them and ensure that you're capitalizing on that digital opportunity.
So, Taylor, just a follow up to Sean and this her process, and I have to put my sales hat on to say this, but look, some of the challenges that we see out there in the dealer network is the cost of lead helm, $1,200 a month, or whatever the exact cost is. That we have other systems. The fact is, no matter what you're selling in the power sports industry, you're probably making more than $1,200 on a single sale, on one single sale. We know for a fact that if dealers use lead helm, if they use a comparable product, which there's not many comparable products because most of them aren't a management-driven process, a sales-driven process, we know that you'll sell substantially more motorcycles. So, some people don't want another system, but this is about moving metal. And you know what the famous line is, everything in our business revolves around selling motorcycles. We got to do service, we have to do parts, we have to do motor clothes or accessories. But if we don't sell motorcycles, it just doesn't matter. And our focus here with Lead Helm is, how do you sell more motorcycles?
I mean, I agree with you, Scott. Again, it's not, you're not trying to sell people on stuff, but you're trying to get them to understand, just the coaching that you get from Lead Helm, just the help that you get, the organization that you get, the trainings that you get. I was on a call myself about a month and a half ago. I heard a young guy and a young girl from a different store talking to. I was like, damn, that's a good idea, And the next thing I know, we're implementing that at the store, yeah. And I'm like, you can never stop growing and getting better. And if you think you do, that's when you get in trouble. But we've been here, I think, owned Thunderbird 20 something years, and 20 years, something like that, 18 years, 19, I forget. It's a lot of years. But we've been at the top of the region, of the district for a lot of those years. And I think the reason is you got to keep growing, you got to keep getting better, you got to keep looking for new solutions. And Lead Helm just was created because there was no real solution for what we were doing. And I don't think there is even now. So again, I mean, I don't know. That's your side, not mine. But I'm going to tell you, I do not understand. I do not understand for the life of me how I would get by in the digital side with 5 agents at Thunderbird, 2 agents up at Wicked West, 1 manager over. How we would organize it all and get all that information. I don't know. Well, so if you're a big store and you don't have that organization, it must be tough.
I think Taylor, what Sean's actually saying is that when you get into the digital side, that's why we talk about the focus and the investment and the management of the digital process. It's not about playing round robin with your leads and just passing them out to salespeople. It's about building a structure inside your dealership. And when you build that structure, you are going to add people. Look, you're going to add people when you focus on the digital side, because sales team cannot focus on the digital doorway the way they focus on the front doorway. And when you have more people, you need technology to manage the data, to manage the number of people. And I wish there was a digital solution for the floor traffic like there is for digital traffic. I mean, I wish there was a real traffic log, digital traffic log that really made sense, but there's not. And so we have to use our focus and our energy and our investment on the digital side.
And Scott, I want to say that our payroll is no higher. Actually, it's usually lower than the members of our 20 group in the sales department, because all the people I'm talking about are productive. They're revenue generating people. They're not revenue costing people. So anyone that you have working is going to be producing revenue. Everybody is producing revenue. So our sales payroll is in line or sometimes even lower, like I said. So it's not like you're creating a huge expense that's different to manage the digital. It's producing equally as a percentage. So those are great.
Yep.
So Sean, I want to ask you.
Let me just say one more thing. Hold on. $12.95, if that's what it costs, or $1,200, like you use that in, like, we pay that for balloons by the road. Come on, that's ridiculous. If that's the expense that you're worried about, that's generating business. I always look for the expense that doesn't generate business. So,
Right.
like I said, balloons don't generate business by the road. Tents out front don't generate business by the road. They're costs, but good people working in a good system are going to generate revenue.
That great point. Great point, Sean. So, Sean, I want to ask you one more question as we start to wind down today's podcast. One of the biggest things that we hear from dealers is, I don't have a guy. I don't have a guy to bring on Lead Helm and work in it. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, we hear that. I hear that all the time, even in my 20 club group. Sometimes I hear that. But yeah, you got to find a guy. You got to find a girl. You got to find somebody that can do it, and it's trial and error. Sometimes we've tried multiple people. Some are better than others at the digital because it takes a little, like I said, it's a little tweak, a little different. But majority of it is your best salesmen tend to be your best digital salesman. It's that simple. Guy, girl, doesn't make a difference. We've had Maggie, who was stellar rock star. She moved on to finance and she's doing great there too. We've had, she's actually ran it. So then, we've had big time people doing it. And then, then other people that you bring in that are learning from the big time people. So you get to mentor people over there. I mean, it's all different. It's not going to be one person. It's not a one size fits all. Sometimes you got a guy that's better at maybe lead follow up. So they do a little bit more of that kind of work and they work as a pair, as a team. We've had that happen. You just got to kind of get what works for you, a little bit, but you're never going to, if you don't think you got somebody, you're never going to find somebody that's going to walk in. And sometimes they walk in, I used to work in a car store. I know everything. They just blow it all up. And then you're going, holy cow, what just happened? So, you just kind of bring it into your system. You make it work within your thing. Maybe you move somebody over, you get another person in there, and it's just like everything else, I just want to we do the service drive. Not everybody's cut out for that, and got to get someone that can understand that and talk to customers. And so you just got to find the right person. It takes a minute, be willing to, and open and honest with those people and say, it might work, it might not. I'm going to try it. You might not be right here. Some people aren't very good with computers. Some people are not great on the phone. Other people are great on the phone, not so great with computers. So you got to just kind of keep trying. And then you keep adding, and then that mentorship happens, that those people behind it, oh yeah, they start to learn from the banger guy or girl that's really great at it, So again, you got to try. It's the only word I can say. We didn't always have it right. And as a matter of fact, we didn't have it right at first because the first person we had got so many leads and was making so much money that they would never dispense with any other leads. So it was hard. It was very difficult.
So Taylor, will you share with the audience the teams that we have at Lead Helm and what they do?
Certainly. So like many business structures, we've got our marketing team, we've got our sales team, but the two things that really set Lead Helm apart and ensure the success of our clients or our dealers, first is our onboarding team. So we have a gentleman by the name of Jason that leads this. And what he does is he focuses on the first 60 days and what are the desired outcomes that you as a dealer want to achieve. Sometimes it's reducing your response time. Sometimes it's increasing your set appointment. Maybe it's increasing your conversion rate. And he focuses on creating customized success plans with our client success team to ensure that you have those quick wins to value in the first 60 days. And he really works with the team to do what we call boot camp training. And during that time, we take the users, BDC members, internet sales, whatever you call it inside of your dealership, and we train them to be the best BDC people in the power sports industry. We teach them based on what we did of 4 years, managing over 1.5 million leads. And we teach them how to go from managing 50 leads to hundreds of leads. So we really work with them during those first 60 days. And then as a dealer begins to get past their onboarding phase in that first 60 days, then they work with our team member, Adam, who leads our client success team. And from there, we focus on continuing to achieve those desired outcomes, but we build upon it. We continue to reduce response times. We continue to help you increase your set and kept and even conversion rates. But we act as the coach to support your dealership and your team to really maximize your digital sales process and ensure that that you get that return on investment. And we see on average, most dealers return it tenfold because of what they do with the digital sales process. And I think it's really important for dealers to understand you can go from a 10% conversion rate of digital sales, or excuse me, total sales from digital, and we're seeing as high as 50, 60, and even 70% in season. What could that mean for your dealership?
So I wanted to ask that question because the question you asked Sean was, you got a lot of dealers say, I don't have a guy, I don't have a girl.
Mm.
Look, with digital lead performance, we had 100 agents working for 100 dealers. They didn't even work inside the dealership. We hired them from college, from in school. They were working from home. I mean, I firmly believe you don't need your digital agent in the dealership. He gets distracted when he's in the dealership because the salesmen always want, give me some leads, give me some customers. But I think the fact is that what you just shared with people, that comes with our service. I mean, the fact that the dealership has a full-blown onboarding process for your sales team in the digital doorway, a customer success process to make sure that you build your program correctly. I don't care if it's an extra system. I don't care if it's $11.99 a month. What the value that we provide in moving the needle to sell more motorcycles or sustain motorcycle sales is just substantial. And it's just it's so important for people to realize that it doesn't make it easy. Just because we do all that stuff doesn't mean it's going to be easy today in the dealership. In fact, it's going to be harder, and it's going to continue to get harder because as you get busier, it's harder work. It just is. You got to have more people, and you got to drive more business, and so it's important.
Can I follow up on one thing there too? What Scott just said. Scott always says you'll know when you hire a manager the impact that they can make in 90 days, and I think it's the same with Lead Helm. You'll know in 90 days, and it's you get out what you put in. If you're not set up and ready to rock, and you're calling that person that's helping you, and you're setting those goals for what you want to achieve, that's the key. And look, I mean, like I said, we've been doing this a long time. About 6 months ago, we started to see some numbers fall off, and it was time for a change. We made some moves. Next thing you know, all of our numbers shoot right back up.
Yep.
So you gotta keep your eye on the ball all the time. It's no different than the traffic log, no different than transactions. You take your eye off the ball, things slow down. They get a little bit rusty. So you gotta be on it. And again, you guys, I know you do. I know you help with the setup and the onboarding and all that stuff. But if a dealer doesn't get into it and doesn't do it, get momentum is a very positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kind of goes by the wayside, So 90 days to me is the number. And like I said, Scott always says that about managers, and you know it. You just know it. You got a manager, you put him in place. Boy, you see, bam, sales go up. You put a finance person, sales go up. And you got the right person. Other times you put someone in place and sales either stays or they go down, and they're just not the right person. And it's not personal. They're just not the right person for that role. So I think it's the same with Lead Helm. You got to be involved in it. You got to be excited about it. You got to work with them, and then it takes off. That's how it goes. That's simple. Very rocket science.
Sean, everybody wants to achieve the big numbers. Everybody wants to achieve that GP opportunity. Everybody wants to hit those digital targets. But the difference between those that do and those that don't is how hard they work and the systems they have in place.
That's right.
That's it. How hard do you want to work and what systems do you have?
Not everybody wants to work hard, That's another difference, It takes hard work, and not everybody wants to do that all the time.
Yeah, you really see in a store that is really develops the business development center properly. You really see in a 90-day time frame how the sales staff really rallies around the BDC department as well. Because you got to remember, the primary focus of the BDC staff isn't about selling motorcycles. It's about getting customers in the dealership so that salesmen can sell more motorcycles. And what greater what greater resource could a sales department have than a BDC department that's bringing quality people that are already in the journey ready to buy? So, that's the magic that happens. There's really magic that happens with lead helm, with digital management, is that when set up correctly, people begin to see the value of how important it is to invest, focus, and manage that process.
Great point, Scott. So dealers, listeners, as we wrap up today's podcast, a couple things I'm going to do for you. The first thing is in the comments or the description below, I'm going to put in the link for Lead Helm. Take a look at it. If you want to see what it looks like in action, if you want to take a test drive, click that link below and we'd love to talk to you. The second thing is I'm going to put in some information below on mastering the digital sales process. Educational focus only, free content. Take a listen. If you're new to the digital sales process and new to maximizing that digital doorway, start here. It's the best place to start. Next, one thing I'm also going to include in there is an overview of what we call Helm Academy. So Sean and Scott referenced a lot about the training, the onboarding, and the hand-holding that we do. We do that through our Helm Academy process. So I'll put that information in there as well. So thanks for our listeners. Thanks for letting us go a little long today. We appreciate it. Scott, Sean, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your expertise and sharing your perspective today. Listeners, be sure to subscribe to our monthly podcast and tune in to all the conversations with Scott Fischer, and be sure to share this with a friend in the industry. We'd love to hear from you. Share your feedback, your biggest takeaway, or how the digital evolution has impacted your dealership in the comments below. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.